Welcome everybody to my first video ever. My name is Skirmish, and as you may have read from the channel name, I'll be making videos about superstitions from all over the world. I'll be breaking down their meaning and bring a little bit of my commentary along the way. So, that is it for my intro. Without further ado, let's talk about death. Now, today's superstition is a Filipino superstition about death. It's called Pagpag. Pagpag is a Tagalog word meaning to shake off or to dust off. It is also a Filipino phrase widely used during funerals. It is warning to anyone not to go home immediately after visiting a funeral or a wake, because the dead can or will follow you. You will often hear the elders of the family, like your lolas and your titas, say that as people leave. It's a reminder to stop at a convenience store, get gas, run errands, do anything else but go home. The reason being is that going somewhere else will shake off any spirit, like the dead loved one you just visited, that may have clung onto you after the wake or the funeral. Now, why should I try to shake off spirits? It is said that the time shortly after death of a person is the time for him or her to learn to be dead. The dead retain all their memories and the ties to the people that they held dear in their lives. So, in this transitory time, the dead may struggle leaving the world and moving on to the afterlife. While struggling to stay in the living world, the dead may cling on to the people they were closest to, and to the places they were most familiar with, like the home. Filipinos are known for being family-oriented. Therefore, going home to your family is a very familiar and comforting feeling, especially if you haven't accepted your unalive state yet. Shaking off spirits gives them a chance to hasten their transition so they don't dwell for too long and get stuck in our world. Then how would going to a different place, like a convenience store or going to get gas, shake off a spirit? Now, true to its namesake, Pagpag is dusting off. It's like dusting off the remnant energy of the dead and the other energies from the funeral elsewhere. You are dispersing quote-unquote bad energy somewhere else aside from your own home. I suppose strangers won't be bothered as much by the diluted dead people energy because they don't have any ties to the dead. They don't care. But is it really so bad to let a spirit follow you home, especially when it's your loved one anyway? Wouldn't it just give you more time to spend together? I'd venture to say no, that this is not a good idea. We've seen plenty of movies to support this answer. If you had wanted to spend more time with your dead loved ones, you should have done so when they were still alive. It's too late now. They are no longer of this world. But that doesn't stop people from seeing those who have died appear before them minutes to days before or even after they have passed on. One explanation for this is called crisis apparition. Crisis apparition is a vision or experience of a living person going through extreme crisis or emotional trauma. These events include, but not limited to, disease, severe injury, or death. The person in question is usually a loved one or a close confidant to the person having the vision. This goes on to show that connection we make in our lives may not be severed so easily by death. However, in the case of Pagpag, that connection can be used by the dead to latch themselves to the living to anchor them to our world. It may be that going to your home or seeing a familiar place can strengthen that hold that the spirits have on the person instead of just leaving it all behind. In turn, the dead become parasites that could seep energy from the living person. I know that sounds very anime-esque. However, we can look at it metaphorically. When a person close to us dies, we feel sadness, anger, grief, and all these other negative emotions. I think Pagpag is a reminder to us all to grieve, but to also move on. Funerals and wakes are for the living to commemorate the dead. It is a time where the people come together to share their memories of them. It is a time where people who have known the dead from many stages of their lives come together in remembrance. Sometimes it becomes a reunion as well because family and friends come from all over the world just to say their goodbyes. It is a bittersweet experience. However, this does not change the fact that the person is dead. Not going home immediately or going off elsewhere can serve as a buffer for you, the person remembering the dead. Practicing Pagpag gives you the time to process and sort out your own feelings before facing the harsh truth once again. It may just prevent you from plunging deeper into a downward spiral of sadness and grief, which could land you closer to death's door if left unchecked. Now, scientifically speaking, there is no proof to all of this, but people follow superstitions because we believe following them may benefit us, or at the very least, following these superstitions could not hurt us. Whether they are rooted in fact, fiction, or both, there are many things in this world that science cannot fully explain. If you find yourself in a wake or a funeral, make sure you stop by a store or a gas station, just in case someone or something followed you after.